I'm going to mute everyone for the meantime. During the lecture, when you're called upon to answer a question, you can unmute yourself. But once you're done talking, you have to mute yourself back again. In the event that you go offline, you can rejoin. I'll admit you back in. But make sure that when you go offline, you do your best to rejoin, because whatever we are going to do here will not be posted on social media for immediate consumption. However, at some point, okay. So welcome to MKTG 403 Electronic Marketing Essentials. My name is Dr. Sheena Lovia Boateng, and I'll be taking you for the course. I have already introduced to you my assistant, Loretta Abigail Sam. She will be joining us in all the lectures for the purposes of taking attendance and also assisting me throughout the discussion. So, like I said in the beginning, welcome to MKTG 403 Electronic Marketing Essentials. And again, my name is Dr. Sheena Lovia Boateng, and I'll be your facilitator for the course. This is our first session, session 1. And in this session, we will achieve 2 main objectives by the time the session is over. The first one being to be able to appreciate the nature of the course that we are going to be doing over the period of 6 weeks, which will cover 12 independent sessions, and to be able to understand the requirements of this course for each and every one of you. Also, we will be able to understand certain core concepts that have to do with the course Electronic Marketing Essentials, particularly the concept of e-business, the concept of e-marketing, as well as the benefits of e-marketing as are explained through the 5S model. So let's start with a brief course description. So like I said, the name of the course is MKTG 403 Electronic Marketing Essentials. Now, if you will permit me, I will share the course outline with you, and we'll briefly go through it so that you can understand what is expected of you throughout the period of the course. Can you see the course outline?
Yes, madam.
Okay. All right. So this is your course outline, and it briefly talks about the nature of the course and what it is about. So the description tells us that the course examines the fundamental principles associated with the strategic adoption, implementation, use, and evaluation of electronic communication media, particularly the internet-enabled electronic communication media, for the purposes of marketing in organizations. So this module is designed to particularly explore internet businesses and the impact of the internet on marketing in this information age which we find ourselves in. Now, it examines in detail the process for planning and implementing a comprehensive e-marketing strategy using alternative marketing mix strategies. So that means that by the end of this course, you should be able to independently develop a comprehensive e-marketing strategy, utilizing the marketing mix elements that you're going to learn about and how they play out through the internet medium. The course will further deal with how today's firm can acquire, manage, and create value for customers using e-marketing strategies. So in addition to learning how to formulate these strategies, you will also learn about the consumer and how they behave through the internet medium, and how marketers can formulate effective strategies to ensure that they can meet the consumer who is connected, or the digital consumer, at the point of their need. So that is generally what the course will cover. So in your spare time, you can look through the individual learning outcomes as well as the course delivery and familiarize yourself with it. Now, as regards assessment, 60% of your score is going to be based upon the class assignments that we will do. And all these assignments will be done through Sakai. So periodically you will have to participate in forum discussions as well as answer certain questions through the Sakai platform. And there will also be an interim assessment somewhere at the 3rd week mark, where you are going to write a short IE also on Sakai. All these will contribute towards 60% of your score. And then at the end of the period, there will be a final examination, which will constitute 30% of your score. And then your class attendance and participation will constitute another 10%. So together, the 60% from your class assignments and interim assessment, as well as the 30% from your final exam, and then the 10% from class participation and attendance will constitute your 100% score. So I'll entreat everyone to apply themselves and participate in class. At the same time, be punctual. And also do your best to fulfill all the requirements as regarding your class assignments, as well as the interim assessment. Please make sure that you meet all deadlines, because the assignments will be up for a period. So if you miss the deadline for participating in the assignment, there is no way, and I repeat, there is no way I am going to go back and reopen the assignment for you to participate in once the time period has elapsed. So make sure that once you're notified of the assignment, go ahead and you participate while you still can. I hope that is clear.
Yes, please, madam.
Yes, please, madam.
Okay. Now, there's a very important thing I want us to take note of, and that is the course policies. Now, the course policies have to do with how we are going to conduct ourselves throughout this course. The first course policy, which I think you should take strict notice of, is the fact that the course instructor reserves the right to modify any of the material in the syllabus and class schedule. However, sufficient notice will be given to students once such has been done, in the event that it will affect any of their interim assessments or the final exam or anything that will contribute towards their final score. Another thing I want us all to be cognizant of is the fact that we are all human, and therefore there's bound to be a difference in opinion. Before I proceed, whose username is Aboa Under? I don't believe that is a name. Kindly change it now, or I will remove you from the class. Okay, moving on. So like I was saying, there's bound to be a difference in opinion. Please make sure that when there's a difference in opinion, you treat each other with respect and dignity. Because that difference in opinion does not mean that the person is less than. We are all here to learn, and this is a safe environment. So people should feel free to express their views regardless of how we feel about those views. So let's all treat each other with respect and dignity and share our views in a conducive environment so that everyone will feel comfortable to be able to learn and share. I hope that is clear.
Yes, please.
Good. At the same time, too, there's another very important
Yes,
thing I
ma'am.
want you to take note of, and which is plagiarism. When you are given assignments, do not just go and look on another person's work and copy what they have done and submit it. The University of Ghana frowns at 100%. So make sure that everything that you submit is entirely your work. Even if you borrow some ideas from certain sources, make sure that you paraphrase these ideas and you give due recognition to whomever you copied those ideas from by way of referencing. So give credit where credit is due for those you took the ideas from, but do not take these ideas verbatim. Make sure you paraphrase them before you put them together to submit in the form of an assignment. This is very important because any plagiarized work can amount to a fail. And we will know because every assignment you submit will be run through the Turnitin plagiarism checker. So make sure that you do not plagiarize anything that you submit. And with that, we've come to the end of the discussion of our course policy. Next on the course outline, we have the course schedule, which details the topics that we will be covering in each section. And then the chapters of the recommended reading materials that these discussions will be based on. I know that we are in challenging times and it's not everyone who can afford textbooks at this point. I have, I believe, soft copies of all these books. So anyone who believes they need them, you can contact my assistant or do so through your classroom. And we will do our best to get the books to you so that you can be able to read them and prepare yourself adequately for class. I hope that is okay.
Yes, please.
All right. So with that, we've come to the end of the discussion on the course outline. At this point, I open the floor for any questions, comments, or sentiments. If you have anything you need clarified, this is the time to ask. Or we are all good?
Yes, please.
All right. So with that, we are going to go into our main discussion for today's session. If you have any question you want to ask during the discussion or while the lecture is going on, kindly raise your hand and I'll give you the opportunity to speak. Once you are done speaking, please don't forget to mute your microphone so that it will not introduce any feedback into our lecture.
Okay, madam.
All right. Some people are posting in the chat. I'm trying to see what they're talking about. Katsako there says people are complaining the host is not allowing them to join. It was placed 2 minutes before the 7:50. Is Katsako there online? I don't understand what you're talking about. Can you kindly clarify what you're saying?
Yeah, madam, please, that was done about 15 minutes ago. So,
Okay, all right. Then Solomon says, my voice is echoing. Solomon, are you sure? Is my voice echoing to everybody?
No, please.
No, please.
So Solomon, I believe it's your connection. You'll have to look at it.
Needed now.
Pardon?
It's better now.
Okay, all right. Okay, so let's get into the lecture. Please, can we all see the PowerPoint?
Yes, please.
All right.
Yes, please.
So now that we are done with our course description, we are going to go into defining the core concepts that underlie. Kindly mute yourself, Darius. All right. So now that we are done with our course description, we are going to go ahead and define the core concepts that underlie the course. Now, like I mentioned earlier, there are 3 core concepts that we are going to be looking into. The first one being the concept of e-business. The second one being the concept of e-marketing. And then the third being the concept of the 5S model, which helps us to understand the importance and the benefits of electronic marketing as adopted by firms or organizations. So let's start with the definition of e-business. So what is e-business? E-business is basically the automation of all the business processes in the value chain. Now, you haven't done marketing management yet, so you will not know about the value chain. But you are supposed to learn about the value chain in marketing management. And before you do that, I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of it in this class so that you can appreciate what we are talking about when we refer to the automation of business processes in the value chain. Now, the value chain is made up of a number of activities that are involved right from the sourcing of raw materials assuming what the firm is engaged in is the manufacture of a product. The value chain looks at all the activities involved in sourcing raw materials, to converting the raw material into the finished product, and making sure that this finished product safely gets to the final consumer for consumption. Now, this is the value chain model. And as you can see, it involves a number of activities, which can be grouped into two main sets. The first set is primary activities, and the second set is support activities. Now, let's start with the primary activities. So the primary activities are basically those activities that are performed in direct relation to converting whatever raw material is obtained into a finished product and is distributed to consumers for final consumption. So when we talk about primary activities, we are referring to everything from inbound logistics. Inbound logistics referring to the trucks that carry the raw material from the farm. Assuming we are producing palm oil, we need trucks to carry the raw material from the palm plantation to the factory. We need workers who will handle the material when it is brought, sort it out, clean it, wash it. Assuming the material is a lot, we need a place to store it. That is where warehousing comes in. And we need to be able to maintain the inventory in these warehouses to know when we are running low on raw material and when we need to order for more raw material. These are all things we can talk about under inbound logistics. And several aspects of inbound logistics can be automated using technology. We can also talk about operations. Once the raw material has been received and stored in warehouse, there are several operations that are involved in converting this raw material into finished products. All of these things involve machinery and certain forms of technology, which again can be also automated. Now we can talk about outbound logistics as well, where we have the raw material having been converted into finished products at the operation stage and now have to move out from the factory to final consumers through wholesalers and retailers and all these other middlemen. Now, aspects of this could involve order processing, because there are several retailers who will place orders for the product. There are several wholesalers who will place orders for the product. All of these processes of managing the orders from these people and ensuring that these orders are delivered can be automated. And all of these come under the concept of e-business. Now, the core part of e-business that has to do with us, which we are going to be focusing on in this course, is the marketing and sales aspect of the value chain and its automation. Being that we are looking at how technology can be harnessed in marketing and sales, specifically internet-enabled technologies, and how they can help the marketer to be able to manage the aspects of marketing and sales that involve everything from product design to pricing decisions to communication and promotion, even delivery and distribution. There are ways in which internet-enabled technologies can help us to streamline all these processes. Now, the application of technology in all these processes comes with hidden benefits that the marketer is able to utilize to enhance firm objectives and at the same time earn a profit, which is the core aim of marketing in the first place, to satisfy consumer needs at a profit. Leila, are we invited to the Ovaltine breakfast? Leila, can I have some of the Ovaltine? Oh, I'm not invited. Leila, unmute yourself then. Unmute yourself and tell me if I'm invited or not. Leila, am I not invited to the breakfast? Are we eating here too? So since you are or classmates, don't we all want some?
We want some. Oh yes, madam, we want some. We want some.
That's by the way, let's continue. Okay, so like marketing and sales aspect of the value chain is what we will be focusing on in this course. We will be looking at how primarily internet-enabled technologies can help us to enhance the marketing and sales aspect of the value chain. And there are a lot of interesting things that we marketers can do and various innovative technologies that we can utilize to be able to make this process better and more optimized. So that is what we'll be learning about in this course. So I believe by now we have understood that e-marketing is a subset of e-business, which I'm going to be focusing on. So apart from the primary activities, which I just mentioned in passing, we can also talk about the support activities that have to do with everything from firm infrastructure, including management, finance, legal, and planning, as well as human resource management, which includes recruiting workers, setting competitive wages, training them, handling employee relations, performance appraisals. All of these things can be automated using internet-enabled technologies. We can also talk about the process of procurement, where we are looking at real-time inventory management, communication with our suppliers, purchasing of supplies and materials, as well as technology development, which in itself has the word technology in it, which tells us that all of these processes can harness technology in one way or another to help us to achieve good profit. So the profit here in this diagram is represented by this green arrow that says margin, right? So the margin is what marketers use to refer to the profit, which is what they earn after they take out all the expenses that they have made, right? So the margin here represents profit. So that is it for e-business. So like we have established, e-business creates the ability of a firm to run a business online or using internet-enabled technology. The subset of this is e-marketing, which we as a class are going to be focusing on during this 6-week, 12-session things that we are going to be doing. All right, so now that we know what e-business is about, let's talk about e-marketing. What is e-marketing? E-marketing basically involves achieving marketing objectives through the use of electronic communication media. Electronic communication media here refers to digital communication media, which could either be internet-enabled or non-internet enabled. So I'm putting this question to the class. Can you give me some examples of non-internet enabled channels or non-internet enabled electronic communication media that the marketer can use? Zelda, come in.
Television.
Good. Television is a prime example. Thank you, Zelda. Anyone else?
Madam.
The radio.
Okay, so to bring about order, the understanding was when you want to answer a question, you raise your hand, we give you the opportunity, then you speak. Are we okay? Are we okay with that?
Yes, please.
Good. So Zelda
Yes,
raised her hand and told us television. So thank you, Zelda, for giving us that answer. Television is one of them. Priscilla, you raised your hand. Can you give us another? Priscilla. Priscilla, are you there? Yes, go ahead.
Billboards.
Billboards, good. So they are
Billboard.
non-internet enabled, yes, good. They are non-internet enabled,
Yes, please.
good. But they are not electronic, are they?
Yeah, we do have electronic ones nowadays.
Good,
The
that's
ones
exactly
with
the answer I was expecting.
Mhm.
Smart, you thought on your feet, good. So the electronic billboards we have, the ones that change the colors and are they are made up of all these beautiful lights, are the ones you are referring to, aren't they, Priscilla?
Yes, please.
Good.
Yes, please, ma'am.
Good. So the electronic billboard. So next time you say billboard, you need to qualify it. Are we okay?
Yes, please.
Good. So well done, Priscilla. The electronic billboard. That's another example of electronic communication media. Okay, any other? We have Benedicta. Benedicta, come in.
Okay, so madam, we also have the print media.
Print media, you need to qualify it because print is not necessarily electronic, is it?
So magazines and
Yeah, but they are not electronic, are they?
pardon me.
The magazine is not electronic, is it?
Yes, please.
Good. So you need to have a rethink. When we say electronic, it means it has some form of digital component to it or electronics involved.
Okay.
Good.
So radio advertisements.
Good. So radio. That's a good example. Thank you, Benedicta.
You're welcome.
All right. Anyone else? Darius, your hand is up. Or what you wanted to say has been said.
No, madam.
Okay, go ahead.
So USSD, unstructured supplementary service data.
Okay. So
Yeah, so using that to send bulk SMS advertisements to people, like
good.
you can receive that from MTN Momo when you're
Good.
having a promo, and
Good.
you'll send a USB SSD message.
Good. That's another very good example. Thank you, Darius. So these are all prime
Okay.
examples of non-internet enabled technology that can be used in e-marketing. However, because of the popularity and the proliferation of the internet, it is the primary means by which marketers use now. That is not to say that the other technologies are not also being used, because the USSD technology that Darius talked about is very much in use today. The television and radio advertisements that we talked about are very much in use today. Electronic billboards, very much in use today. But we are going to focus on the internet because it has certain unique characteristics that helps us to do more over a wider surface area. When I say wider surface area, I mean in terms of geography and reach, and in terms of the number of innovative tools and technologies that we can use. So we will be speaking more about internet-enabled communication media in this lecture. Not to say that the non-internet-enabled ones are not important, but in terms of innovation, dexterity, internet gives us more options as marketers and gives us more room to flex our muscles and do more because of the nature of the technology. So I hope we all understand.
Yes, please.
Is it Emma or Ima Asumini? Your hand is up. You have something to say, you have the floor. Emma Asumeni, or is it Emma? Kindly correct me. Are you there? Okay, your mic is on, but we cannot hear you speak.
I wanted to answer a question, but it has passed. So
It has passed, okay.
fine.
All right, that's fine. Okay, so let's proceed. Before we go ahead, someone is asking me a question. Where is my office on the main campus located? That's Lauren. Lauren, why do you ask? Are you online? Why do you ask where my office is located? Lauren, kindly respond.
Madam,
Yeah.
if I have questions about the course, I would like to reach you.
Okay, so you can send me a WhatsApp.
Okay.
My number is on
Thank
the
you.
platform, yes. So just send me a WhatsApp message and then we'll see how best we can help you out.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Lauren. Okay, so let's proceed. So now that we have understood the concept of e-marketing and e-business, we're going to look into the unique characteristics of the internet. Now, the reason why this is important is because I mentioned a moment ago that we will be focusing mainly on the internet in this course. Not because the non-internet enabled electronic communication media are not important, but because the internet has certain unique characteristics that enable us as marketers to apply various forms of innovation and be very dexterous in terms of application of these innovations in developing marketing strategies to ensure that marketing objectives are achieved. So let's look at the unique characteristics of the internet that make it so unique and make it so important to our cause as e-marketers. The first thing we can talk about is the characteristic of ubiquity. Ubiquity basically tells us that the internet is available everywhere. And as long as you have a device that can help you connect, wherever you get to that you can get some form of wireless internet connection, you can access the internet from that place. So it's available anywhere, anytime, for whatever purpose you want to use it. And that is one of the main reasons why the internet is so prime for marketing, because its ubiquity helps us to be able to reach customers anywhere and at any time. The next characteristic we can talk about is global reach. Now, this is a direct consequence of ubiquity. Because it's available anywhere and everywhere and at any time, you can be able to reach customers anywhere across the globe because of the ubiquitous nature of the technology. So you do not need to travel to the United Kingdom or to Europe or to the US before you can perhaps meet a client who lives in that part of the world. Through the technology, you can reach across your boundaries and contact such people and get in touch with such customers and be able to serve them as if they were physically within your geographic region. And that is one important reason why the global reach of the internet facilitates e-marketing activity. We can also talk about the characteristic of richness. And this is one of the key characteristics of the internet that gives marketers that dexterity to be able to be creative. We have the ability to apply videos, audio, various forms of text and graphics in any way, manner, or form or combination to ensure that we are able to have the full attention of our customers or our prospective customers. So this richness helps marketers to be able to put together all manner of content, because content creation is what drives electronic marketing. Without content, the marketer has nothing to push. The marketer has nothing to sell. And content has to be created in such a manner that it appeals to the audience that the content is being targeted at. So with the application of videos, audio, text, and graphics in all these creative ways, we are able to design unique content that can help us to gain and keep the attention of our prospective customer base, as well as our current customers whom have migrated with us, perhaps from the traditional setting to the online setting. Another characteristic we can talk about is the universal standard of the internet, which helps to drive marketing activity. This is because if a marketer sits in Ghana and creates, say, an infographic, because of the universal standard of the material that was used in creating this infographic, and a universal standard of communication and interpretation, which we all share through the internet, anyone in any part of the world who views this infographic will be able to understand it and appreciate it the way the marketer who designed it from Ghana envisioned, because the communication is standard and common to everyone. So a viral video is a viral video. A challenge is a challenge. A TikTok challenge is a TikTok challenge, regardless of who started it. If it was started in the US, it doesn't matter, because people in Ghana can do the same TikTok challenge. People in the UK can do the same TikTok challenge. People in the USA can do the same TikTok challenge. What's the latest challenge that everyone is doing? Does anyone know?
Buzz it.
Oh, the Buzz challenge, yeah, the one that you look ugly in the beginning and then you glam up and then you do the dance.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is a good example, right? The universal standard. That's the challenge. Everybody is doing it. We've never even bothered to ask, okay, which country is this person from who is doing it? We just know it's a Buzz challenge. Once the hashtag is there, is universal, right? So that's a very good example. So moving on to the other characteristics. What other characteristics can we talk about? The next one we can talk about is interactivity. This is one of the very important dimensions that drive marketers' dialogue and relationship building with their customers. Because you cannot get to know your customer if you do not interact with your customer. And through internet technology, we can utilize so many means by which we can gain direct feedback from our customers, as well as engage in direct conversation with our customers, be able to understand and appreciate their needs and expectations better, so that we can formulate proper strategies to ensure that we can meet them at this point of need and still have their business. Because without understanding your customer, you cannot give them what they want. And if you're not giving your customers what they want, you are not achieving your marketing objectives, of which the ultimate is to make profit. So interactivity is very important, and it is highly facilitated by the internet, because it gives us several means by which you can interact with our customers, be it through live chat, through social media interaction, through online surveys, exit polls. The options are limitless. And all of these are facilitated via the internet. And they give us the opportunity to get to interact with our customers and know them better. So that's another good one that the internet comes with. The next one we can talk about is information density. And this information density is both a threat and an opportunity for marketers. Why do I say that it's a threat? Information density refers to the total amount and quality of information that is available to all market participants. So when we say all market participants, we are referring to customers, suppliers, marketers themselves, firms, stakeholders, and all other people who have a stake in the market. Now, this information density is a threat to marketers because information is freely available. That means that what you know, your customers may equally know and perhaps may know more. So as a marketer, it is very important for you to have your facts straight and to know exactly what you are about on the internet, because there have been several instances where marketers have been caught off guard by consumers who actually know their stuff. And this is where the main threat comes in. Because of information density, consumers are now powerful. And they are not afraid to use this power. So right now, because of information density, we have what we refer to as cancel culture, right? Who has heard of cancel culture?
Me.
Prinsella, you have? Okay.
Yes, please.
So tell us in a nutshell what cancel culture is about.
It's when a celebrity and information from the past about a celebrity is used to cancel them, especially when he or she was racist or was a misogynist.
Good. Now, this does not just apply to celebrities, bear in mind. It also applies to firms and organizations as well. And this is a direct consequence of information density, because the internet never forgets. All this information is out there some way, somehow. And consumers always know how to fish out for this information. So whoever has the most information has the most power. And in this case, consumers have a lot of information, which makes them very powerful. So that is why we say information density is a threat. But at the same time, too, information density is a great opportunity for marketers, because that means that they can capitalize on consumers' need for information to be able to create opportunities and avenues to gain their trust and provide them with information that they believe will influence their choice in favor of them or their brand. So information density is a double-edged sword. It's both a great opportunity for marketers and a huge threat if not handled properly. So that is it for information density. Next, we can talk about personalization and customization. This is another favorite of mine, because the internet enables marketers to personalize and customize a lot of things using the technology and the opportunities that it affords us. So almost everything can be personalized on the internet, from messages, products, services. Depending on the customer that you are dealing with, and what their preferences are. So we had a lot of multinational corporations like Nike and Adidas capitalizing on this customization and giving customers what they are looking for. So previously, using Nike ID, you could customize your own Nike, Air Force sneakers, and you could put in any color you wanted, wherever you wanted the colors to be placed, and it will be delivered to you as you designed it on the platform. My Adidas also offers a similar service where you can customize your sneakers, right? There are also independent organizations and firms who have made a business out of customization on the internet. So you can customize everything from t-shirts to caps to bags to shoes, everything that you want to customize, you could do so because of the power of internet technology. At the same time, we observe this happening a lot through the customized messages that our banks send to us. We get customized messages in our email. We get customized messages, in our internet banking applications, in our internet banking pages on the bank's website. All of these are ways of customizing the service delivery process or the product that you are selling to the customer's needs. And all of these are afforded us because of the internet and its myriad innovative technologies. The final characteristic of the internet that we can talk about is the social aspect of it, which is the most dominant aspect among younger generations, including your generation, if you refer to as the Gen Z, right? I dare say that no student on this platform has less than 2 social media profiles, true or false? You're on at least 2 social media networks.
True.
Yeah. Minimum 2. Not even 1, minimum 2. And I dare say that minimum is either Instagram and Facebook or Instagram and Snapchat. Am I right?
Correct.
Yeah, and more recently TikTok. So the social aspect of the technology is very important. And you realize that that is where a lot of the dialogue takes place. That is where we get to know more about the customer's preferences, the customer's beliefs, their values, their ideologies. Currently, we have a huge issue trending on Twitter regarding UPSA. Who knows about it? Who knows what's trending on Twitter at the moment?
It's about admission process and the keys of the schools.
Exactly, right? And it is the millennials who are driving this conversation, because most of them are giving their preferences and making reference to their own institutions. So you have UCC past students chiming in, Lagos students chiming in, right? These are all the social aspects of the technology. And if UPSA has a marketing arm, or perhaps the institutional relations arm, this is where they have to be taking notes. Because the social aspect of the technology is creating a conversation around it. And based on the sentiments and the comments that are being given, they can be able to create a strategy to either absolve themselves of any blame in the situation or admit where they went wrong and come out with a better solution to the problem. So the social aspect of internet technology is very important because there's so much that marketers can learn from their customers through their socialization. And in here, socialization does not refer to their socialization or interaction with the firm in any way or form, but just by the firm observing their interactions with each other regarding specific issues and content. That's the social aspect of the technology. Abdallah, you said what? You think WhatsApp and Facebook is the most used. Okay, so WhatsApp is not a social networking platform. It's a messaging platform with social networking capabilities. So it has characteristics of social media, but it is not a social networking platform. It's primarily a messaging platform. Do you understand, Abdallah? Abdallah, are you there? Okay, all right. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the characteristics of the internet. Does anyone have any question they want to ask? before we proceed to the next step, where we'll be talking about the benefits of e-marketing. Any question on the characteristics of the internet? Any question on the characteristics of the internet? Or we are all okay?
We are all okay.
Okay.
Good. All right. So then let's move on to the benefits of e-marketing. All right. So now that we know the characteristics of the internet and how it facilitates e-marketing, let's talk about the benefits of e-marketing. Now, in discussing the benefits of e-marketing, we need to understand that e-marketing as a process can either go very well or go very wrong. There are several examples of firms or marketers who have engaged in poor e-marketing activities, often because they did not set clear objectives for what they were doing, or they did not have any proper strategy put in place. In other instances, they could have had a clear objective and they could have had a good strategy in place, but perhaps the execution of the overall strategy was poorly done. So it is not enough to understand e-marketing. You need to be able to have clear objectives, have a good strategy, and execute this strategy properly. And once you are able to do so, there are certain benefits that you stand to gain as an e-marketer from the proper utilization of these internet-enabled and non-internet-enabled technologies in marketing your firm's brand, products, or services. And this can be explained using what we refer to as the 5S model, which was developed by Shafi and Shadri, which tells us about 5 dimensions that underpin the benefits that a firm can gain from e-marketing, all of which begin with an S. Hence the name, the 5S model. These dimensions are made up of the sell dimension, the serve dimension, the speak dimension, the sizzle dimension, and then the save dimension. So we're going to take each of these dimensions one after the other, and we're going to break them down to be able to understand what these benefits entail. So we'll first start with the sell dimension. When marketers decide to use internet-enabled technologies primarily to be able to support the marketing activities of their products and services, they have the opportunity to grow their sales. Why are we saying this? When you are selling products traditionally, offline, or in the brick and mortar context, you are limited to the customers who are within the geographic confines of your brick and mortar location. So you do not have access to all those other people who cannot physically come to your brick and mortar location to make a purchase. But because of the ubiquitous characteristic of the internet, it is available anywhere and everywhere. And because it has global reach, you are not constrained by geographical boundaries. You have the ability to access customers who are outside of your geographical location and target them when you are selling your products and services, in addition to those customers that you can find within your immediate geographic location. So by doing this, e-marketers can be able to achieve a wider distribution network, which can reach a wider number of customers over a wider number of locations across the globe, which hitherto they would not have been able to do if they were primarily using brick and mortar means. Brick and mortar also refers to the offline context. So here we find out that a number of firms will decide to either go for a bricks and clicks approach, where they are selling their products both offline in a traditional store, and then they also have some form of online presence to give them access to those customers who cannot reach them through their brick and mortar location. And that is what we refer to as bricks and clicks. And then we have the firms that primarily do not even bother themselves with the physical location and just decide to base their entire business model online. So in that case, they are running a completely click-based marketing strategy where they are selling their products only online. Now, by using the internet, they have the opportunity to target a wide array of customers from a wide array of backgrounds and geographic locations that we have already established. But the internet also gives them additional tools that they can use to be able to consistently convince customers and get more and more customers to pay attention to their brand, as well as convert them to actual buyers of their brand or the product or service that they are selling. For example, in the brick and mortar context, the customer is only restricted to seeing adverts from the brands that advertise on perhaps TV or radio or have a billboard in one or two locations. But with the internet, the e-marketer can strategically position their advert in the face of the customer, sometimes targeting them based on their demographics and their lifestyle and their value choices. So by using all the various techniques that the internet affords us, like AI and marketing analytics, we can be able to determine the pages that are frequently visited by these customers we are targeting and position our adverts on all these pages. We can be able to tell how often they go to these pages and the kinds of interests that they have to be able to position ourselves strategically to make sure that we are always in their faces whenever they go to these pages or try to search for these interests, which we cannot do in a traditional brick and mortar setting. And by using all these tools to keep our brand and our product and service in the face of the customer, it enhances our chances of making a sale. In addition to the various customers that we already have access and been able to sell to through the global reach and ubiquity of the internet. Hence, the first benefit in the 5S model being the ability to sell. Does it make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Okay. So the second dimension that we can talk about is the serve dimension. Now, the serve dimension, like the word says, has everything to do with offering customers good service. And again, unlike the brick and mortar context, the internet offers us with unique opportunities to be able to give customers service over and above what we would have traditionally given to them in the brick and mortar context. With the internet, we can give customers service both before the sale, during the sale, and after the sale, such that customers get extra benefits before the sale, during the sale, and after the sale by virtue of the unique characteristics of the internet that help us to be able to target them at their point of need. So for instance, let's talk about the issue of the pre-sale and how the internet can help us to provide good customer service at the pre-sale level. When we talk about pre-sale, at the pre-sale point, the customer is not yet your customer. They are your prospect, meaning that you are hoping that they will buy from you. Now, at the pre-sale stage, it's all about being able to convince the customer that the product or service that you are selling is the best product or service to satisfy that particular need that they have. And with the internet, there are so many opportunities for you to be able to do so. I put this question to the class. At the pre-sale stage, how do you think the internet can help us to convince our customers to actually come and buy our product? Let's do some brainstorming.
Madam.
Who is speaking?
Juliana.
Juliana, go ahead.
By posting videos or previews of people who have already used the product and are giving good testimonials about it.
Good. That's an awesome example. That is a good idea of how to use pre-sale, how to use the internet during pre-sale customer service activities. So well done, Julia. And we see a lot of this around. We always see people in videos using the items. Although after the purchase, it is not always true that what you saw in the video is what you received. However, that's a story for another day. The videos and the content are used a lot during the pre-sale to give customers an idea of what to expect and to convince them that this product that they are seeing people using in the video is going to help them achieve the same or similar results should they go in for the product. right? So that's a good example of how the internet can help us in the pre-sale stage to convince our customers to buy from us, right? Let's talk about the sales stage as well. Once we have been able to convince the customer to buy from us, how can we use the internet to enhance the selling stage? Okay, before we go ahead, Abdullah says, at the pre-sale, the social media can be used to communicate the usage and functions of the product. Yes, that's another good example. And we see it happening a lot on social media, where people are posting about how well the product worked for them. And you realize that most of the firms use screenshots of these posts and comments to advertise their product prior to the sale. So well done, Abdullah, that's a good one. Okay, so moving on, the sales stage. Zelda, come in.
When there's a discount when there's a discount or a package to be given during the sale.
Okay, hold on. What you are talking about is more of a pricing thing, right? It's more of pricing. We're talking about service. So think again, during the sale, how can we make the process easier? Zoda, would you like to have a rethink and then come back?
Yes.
Okay. Darius, you can come in.
So during the sale, we can provide convenience and payment options.
Awesome.
Using online payment systems with Visa, Momo integrations via the internet.
Good, exactly. That's one excellent way by which the internet facilitates the sale process. And it makes it easy and hassle-free for customers. Because right now during COVID, going to the bank is a hassle. But with all these new payment options, like Darius mentioned, we have it easy because we can sit in the comfort of our homes and have access to our funds and make all these purchases and have them delivered to us, right? So that's a good example of the sales stage. So now let's talk about the post-sale stage. After the sale has been made, how can the internet be used to enhance service? Okay, there's a hand up. Who's this person? I can't see the name. Okay, Lauren, go ahead.
Yeah, madam, asking for good customer reviews.
Good. Right? So customer reviews are the post-sale, and these ones are not out of the control of the firm. The firm can't control it. But you can ask your customers nicely to go to your page and leave a review. Right? And leaving a review means that they are helping your business as well as helping themselves, because customers like to talk about the services that they consume, right? They derive joy from it because it helps them to feel part of the community of people who use the product or service. And through the post-sale interactions that they have on your platform as a firm, they're able to connect with other users as well and form their own community and alliances. So Lauren, that's a good example. Okay, Priscilla, come in.
The internet can be used to track the location of your product until it reaches you, the final consumer.
That's an excellent one. Order tracking, which is currently one of the prime features that firms are using to enhance brand experience online, which we will learn about very soon in another dimension of the 5S model. Good job, Priscilla.
Thank you.
So, as we have been able to establish, in fact, we don't need to say anything anymore. We understand how important the internet is in terms of customer service, both at the pre-sale, the sales stage, and the post-sale stage. And bear in mind that all these things we are talking about were previously very difficult to do, if not impossible, in the brick and mortar context. Because with a click right now online, you can track your order right from when it leaves the shipper. But in the traditional context, it was hell trying to track an order. because there was no way you could physically know where your order had reached without the technology. So that is it for the serve dimension, right? Let's move on to the third dimension, which is the speak dimension. So the first dimension we talked about was the sell dimension, we did the serve dimension, and now we're on the speak dimension. And the speak dimension is basically what it is. It facilitates speech between the customer and the firm. In other words, communication is enhanced. And through communication, customers and firms can build a closer and better relationship. Before I move on, there are some comments in the chat section I have not read, and I believe these relate to the serve dimension. So Nadel says, post-sale, they can take feedback from customers. Exactly, they do so through social media and through email, sometimes through WhatsApp. So Nadel, that's a good point. Then we also have Abdullah saying that using a feedback system to allow customers to give feedback. Okay, so that's directly related to what Nadel said. So both of them are talking about the feedback systems and how the internet technology can be used to facilitate those. So thank you for both your comments, Nadel and Abdullah. Very well noted. So continuing with the speak dimension, we're talking about the fact that dialogue and communication between firms and their customers is important. Because if you do not communicate with your customers, you do not get to know them. And if you do not get to know your customers, you cannot build a relationship with them. Because it is in relationship building with your customers that you are able to understand their likes and dislikes, their needs and wants, and how they want these needs and wants to be satisfied. So speaking to your customers is very important, and the internet helps us to do so in myriad ways. For instance, this speaking we are talking about can occur either silently or overtly. Now, silent speech in this case, or silent communication in this case means that the firm does not necessarily have to talk to the customer, but it can observe the customer's communication with each other, the customer's discussions among themselves, how the customers react to and talk about their contents that they post on their platform on the internet. These are ways by which they can be able to communicate with them without having to use actual words or actual dialogue back and forth. They can also use what we call email forms and polls or exit surveys, right? Or conducting online market research using formal surveys. So the exit surveys here are the ones where you are leaving the page and they ask you to rate your experience. You see this a lot with the apps that we use. When you're exiting, they ask you to rate it, either give it a 5-star or a 4-star. This is another way of communicating because they want to be able to understand how the customer felt, to know whether they have to do more to improve their services. There's another core way that the firm is able to communicate with customers and observe them silently without them knowing. And this is evident on a lot of websites. Does anyone know about it? I'm sure recently you visited a website and you were even confronted with it. It perhaps may not have occurred to you. But whenever you enter a website, they'll tell you that they are observing you. And there's something that they use to do that. Can anyone tell us? Can anyone tell us? They use it to observe your patterns on the page, your activity on the site, what you're doing. Darius?
I'm not sure, but I think it's cookies.
Yeah, cookies. You're right.
Or analytics.
Yeah.
Great.
But cookies are the very common one. So every time you visit the page, they will ask you, okay, the page uses cookies. So we will be observing what you'll be doing, blah, blah, blah. And they'll ask you to agree or disagree. And that is another important aspect of marketing where we consider a lot of the ethical implications of what we do, especially when it comes to the internet. Because without having these checks, we will tend to infringe on the rights and privacies of the consumers that we are seeking to serve. And that will end up affecting us. So yes, cookies are another way that we silently communicate with our customers without knowing, by observing them and learning about them, right? So communication between firms and their customers is very, very important. And sometimes marketers who are communicating with these customers on behalf of the firm may not believe that they are the best people to do the talking, because they would want the customer to hear from someone that they trust, someone that they have come to believe and know over the years. And that is where we can talk about the people we refer to as influencers. Because the influencers have over time earned the trust of these customers you want to talk to. These customers have come to believe what these influencers say over time and believe that it is credible and reliable. So you realize that firms will often shell out huge amounts of money to recruit brand influencers. Not because they don't know what to do with their money, but because they believe that these influencers have the power and influence to get their customers to talk, to get their customers to believe in them. So you realize that once a firm or a marketer signs on a particular influencer, that influencer is able to attract a lot of their followers to also start using the product of the brand or marketer. Because the influencer has been able to convince their followers that this brand that I'm working with now is worth trying out. It's worth giving a shot. Abdullah says, yeah, cookies, but also Google received have informations, because we all basically use Google products and they sell those information to businesses. Yes, that's another issue for another day, because currently all the social media platforms are being accused of sales, including Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Twitter, right? So that's another story for another day. But thank you for making that comment, Abdullah. All right, so that is it about communication, right? Communication here basically facilitates the building of a strong bond between the marketer and their customers, the firm and their customers, getting them to believe in them. And once they are able to establish a certain level of trust, it is easier for the firm to be able to sell to these customers and serve them, because they trust you and they believe what you tell them, and they will be able to buy whatever you sell to them, above and beyond the current products that they are buying from you, to the point where the firm can introduce new products and services, and they can trust that their customers will also buy those new products and services, because over time they have built that relationship where the customers believe the firm will always give them the best quality to satisfy their needs. So that is it for the speed dimension, right? So far, how many dimensions have we done?
3.
3.
Yeah, 3.
If you're Pokia, can you tell us what these 3 dimensions are? If you're Pokia.
Yes, madam. The first dimension is sell.
Good.
The second is serve. And
Good.
the third is speak.
Good. Thank you so much, Ifya.
You're welcome, madam.
Okay, and Michael has a question. Michael says, is it that these influencers have used the product, or the firm pays them so they can channel their followers purchasing the product of the firm? Okay, so influencers operate in a certain number of ways. First, an influencer can get their followers to use a firm's product, not because the firm paid them to do so. Sometimes an influencer could just buy a product using their own money. And because of the good experience they had using the product, they'll casually introduce it to their followers and say, I bought this product, I use it, I believe it's good. And I think when you use it, it will also help you. Yeah, the firm did not pay for it. The firm did not even ask them to buy the product and review it. They did it off their own free will. So yeah, the firm is not involved. The second type is where we have the firm actually giving the product to the influencer for free and asking the influencer to try it out and review it and share their experience with their customers. So here, the firm is not actually paying the influencer to represent their brand. They're just asking the influencer to try out their product, which they are giving to them for free, then independently tell their followers about the product. So yeah, the firm does not control when the influencer talks about the product or when they use it or how they use it or whatever. And then the third type is where the firm actually goes, searches for the influencer, pays the influencer, gives them the product to use, and says, talk about the product on our behalf and represent our brand. So Michael, these are the three ways that it can happen.
Yes, please, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so that is it for the speed dimension of the model. So let's move on to the fourth dimension, which is the save dimension. And this word marketers love to hear it so much, even though we love spending money. The internet gives us opportunities for cost reduction. This is because a number of expenses that we would have incurred in the brick and mortar setting are automatically cut out once we migrate our product or service to being marketed in the online context. Now, that is asking, can we include brand ambassadors as influencers? Yes, brand ambassadors are influencers. So I hope that answers your question, Nadia. Okay, moving on. So the cost reduction here, like I said, involves the cost savings that the internet affords marketers outside of the traditional setting. So listen to this scenario. If you were to decide to open a shop, say a boutique, to sell clothes in the brick and mortar context, which is offline, you will have to find a physical location, which is a store location, which you have to pay rent for. In Ghana here, when you want to rent a shop, they will give it to you in advance for about 4 or 5 years. The minimum you can get is a 2-year advance, but you have to pay in advance for a certain period of time, which is a huge cost implication. Because you are incurring this cost even before you know how much you can sell. That's one. After you get the store location, you need to be able to recruit salespeople to actually sit in the shop, monitor the shop, stock the shelves, and actually attend to customers who walk in. That's another cost element. Now, depending on the kind of store that you get, you will have to pay for electricity. You will have to pay for cleaning. You will have to pay for setup, because you have to set up the place with shelves and furniture and changing rooms and all that. These are all cost elements that you have to incur. But in the online setting, all of this is cut out. Assuming you even want to use a blended approach, you can decide to store all your inventory in your house where you are already paying rent. So it's not an additional cost that you have to incur. And then use the online platform primarily for displaying the product, selling the product, and processing your orders. Now, this brings about huge savings, not just in terms of money, but also in terms of time and effort. Because the effort you would have expended in putting this shopping space together, hiring sales staff, monitoring sales staff, driving to and from the shop every day, opening and closing, right? You would have cut out all these cost implications basically by operating on the internet. And especially in terms of time, when you're operating in the brick and mortar context, you are constrained by means of time, because you have to open at perhaps 9 a.m. in the morning and close by 6 or 7 p.m., depending on the location that your shop is. But with the online setting, there's no closing time. Because even when you are asleep, your website is working. People can go to your website and place an order as late as 11 p.m., 12 midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And all you have to do is to wake up in the morning, check the orders that have been made, and simply process them for delivery. But in the offline context, you would have had to have the shop open for people to actually walk in and buy, which you cannot do after 6 or 7 p.m. Latest by 8 p.m. you should have closed. So that means that all the sales you could have made between 8 p.m. and 9 a.m. the following morning, you have missed. But with the internet, you do not miss all these sales. So the internet helps us make major cost savings as marketers in terms of money, time, and effort. And most of this cost reduction is accrued in terms of web self-service, because with web self-service, like I said, you do not have to have all those staff on hand to attend to your customers. You do not have to listen to your customers all the time in the shop to hear what they are looking for go to the stock room, check if it's available, come back, tell them what is available, let them make a choice. All these things are cut out because the customer can basically serve themselves. You go to your website, you look through what is there, you check whether they like it or not. If they like it, you purchase it, you make the payment themselves using the online payment platforms like we have discussed and previously. And then they just wait for it to be delivered. And in situations where they are not comfortable and they believe it's taking too long, assuming your website offers that facility, you can go there and track the order and see where exactly their item has gotten to, right? These are all means by which major savings can be made. And bear in mind that these benefits accrue sometimes in the case of save, for example, on the part of both the firm and the customer. But generally what we are discussing now is in terms of benefits that the firm stands to gain by utilizing e-marketing to sell to their customers. So that is it for the save dimension. The next dimension we can talk about is the sizzle dimension. This is my favorite dimension because it has to do with brand management and managing the firm's brand. Now, when we talk about sizzle, we talk about all the opportunities and innovations that the internet affords the firm to be able to strengthen their brand. And when you're strengthening your brand, you usually do so by creating unique experiences that keep your customers glued to your brand, which can help your brand differentiate itself from those of competing brands in the same product category, right? So through the internet, firms can offer customers new propositions that in the offline setting, they were not able to. But because of the innovative capabilities of the internet, they are able to give customers all these new propositions that help them to have new experiences. So even though it is the same brand that they know in the brick and mortar or offline setting, it is the same brand offering them new experiences and propositions online. So let me give you a typical example using my bank. I bank with Standard Chartered. And previously, banks were primarily brick and mortar. In the initial 2000s, the banks that had websites were running basically static websites where it was just information. You couldn't really interact with the website or do anything. You just go there and then you see the same basic information that has been there for months and weeks on end. But now, all the banks are improving and upgrading their services online such that almost every bank in Ghana now has both a website and a banking app. Standard has one of the best banking apps, if you ask me. I'm biased, sorry. And with this app, I can tell you that for the past several months, I believe since February of last year, I haven't set foot in a banking world because I've done all my transactions online using this app. Hitherto, if you wanted to move money around, you would have to go to the bank, fill in a cash withdrawal slip, give it to the teller, who will give you the money. And then you later go and pay into the account or whoever you want to send the money to's account. Or if you want to do Momo, you withdraw the money, then you go to the Momo vendor to put the money on that person's Momo account. You don't have to do that anymore with the banking app, right? The new proposition is that move the money directly from your bank account and use it to make your Momo payment. You don't even have to move it to a Momo account before you can pay a person using Momo. You can pay directly from your account to a Momo user. At the same time, previously, when you get a new ATM card, you have to go to an actual ATM to activate your ATM card. But now you can just pick up the card, come home, and sit in the comfort of your home and activate your ATM card using the app. Another example, previously, when you lose your ATM card, you have to call the Standard Service Center, which is somewhere in India. And you have to listen to these Indians with their interesting accents. Most of the time, you don't understand what they are saying. To ask you a number of questions that you have to answer before you can tell them that, okay, it's my card, it's missing, I want you to block it before they go ahead and block it. But now, the moment your card is missing, you can just go into your banking app and block it with just the tap of your finger without making any phone calls, without going to the banking hall or doing any of that stuff that you used to do traditionally. Now, these are all new propositions that are giving new experiences to the customer who was used to the traditional system of banking with the bank. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, please, madam.
Good. So this new reality has affected my perception of the bank, such that currently I'm in love with my bank. There's nothing you can tell me otherwise, because the new innovation they have introduced by means of the technology has made my experience with banking so much more easier and pleasant, right? And that is what we refer to as the sizzle, because now the brand is sizzling to me. This new experience that they have given me has made my life more easier, and at the same time has made their service delivery more effective, right? And the benefits of these services are clear, like I have outlined them to you, and has contributed to the high level of satisfaction that I'm telling you guys about now with their banking services, because they have been able to meet my expectations and in some instances exceed them. So in this instance, it has been very easy for me to talk about my bank and the awesome services that they offer me by way of recommendation. Because I'm telling you about it now. And if you also want to experience such an awesome service, you might just decide to also go and save with StanChart just to get this experience. And in case I'm in a certain conversation where someone is saying something negative about the StanChart brand, I'll definitely defend them, because I've had a first-hand positive experience with their service delivery, especially over the internet. Right? So I'll definitely engage in advocacy for the brand, because I believe in the brand and they have been able to satisfy my needs. It doesn't make sense.
Yes.
Good. Good. So with that, we have identified all the 5 dimensions, right? So can anyone tell us all the 5 dimensions we have gone through?
Benedicta.
No, you don't get to mention people's names. So I'm going to appoint. When I mention your name, you tell us 1 dimension and how the internet helps the marketer to achieve that seamlessly. So let's start with Andy Amano. Andy Amano, are you there? Andy Amano, are you there?
Yes, please.
Okay, so tell us about 1 dimension and how the internet helps us to facilitate our marketing.
How should I put it? It helps present and it helps them to be responsible.
Okay, hold on, Andy. You're supposed to tell us the dimension you are going to talk about before you even explain it.
The serve aspect.
Okay, so what are the serve aspects do?
It helps to present and they are responsible for the cost all time.
What?
If you make...
Andy, you're not clear. Are you sure you were in the discussion with that?
I said they are responsible for the customers at all times.
Are you sure that's what the serve dimension is about? Being responsible for the customers? I don't think so. Andy, were you in the discussion? Or
yes,
and it's said us?
No, it's also part of things I wrote down.
Did you say responsible? Really, are you sure?
Responsive.
Good. So when does this responsiveness happen? Is it pre-sale, during the sale, or after the sale?
I think after.
After, good. So the responsiveness happens after, in case the customer has something they need to clarify, or something they need assistance with, right? So thank you, Andy.
Yes. You're welcome.
Paying attention. All right, Pastor, your hand is up. You have the floor.
Good morning, ma'am.
Hi, good morning, Pastor. Go ahead.
I think my question is on the safe dimension.
The safe dimension. Okay.
Yeah, and I want to know if it cuts across all the marketing platforms, as in to what the marketer will save, because I'm tempted to differ or argue that with the social marketing, yes, maybe because the social networks are free, you can harness those channels. But then with the website, for you to get a website designer, you are not talking about website maintenance. I mean, hackers, for you to prevent your website from hackers. Madam, this owes a lot of money compared to the brick and mortar, structures. So I just wanted to, be clear whether the safe dimension cuts across all these e-marketing platforms.
Yes, it cuts across all the
Except,
platforms.
oh, okay.
Because a lot of the cost you incur, right? Most of it is heavy cost that you incur in the initial stages. You agree?
I agree.
Good. So depending on how much cost you incur in the beginning and how much product you are moving, right? It is better for you to incur that major cost in the beginning to save along the line. So the cost saving doesn't sometimes occur immediately. Are you with me?
Okay.
It occurs
Yes,
over
ma'am.
an extended period of time. Because you pay for the website to be developed once. And then perhaps you keep paying the hosting fee for it to be hosted on the server, right? Or you just pay a maintenance fee, or you pay a web developer to keep maintaining the site for you. That cannot be compared to the cost that you will be incurring if you were doing a physical location, paying rent, electricity, sales staff, traveling back and forth day in, day out. And some of these costs, bear in mind, Foster, are not monetary costs. Are you with me?
Okay. Yes, yes.
They're cost in terms of time and effort as well. So when we talk about
I
the
understand.
savings, don't just think about the financial aspect.
Okay.
Good. Are you okay now?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, Lauren, come in.
Yeah, madam. Yeah, I wanted to ask a question about the save model.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, you were saying it helps with cost reduction.
Yeah.
But to compare it to the traditional model, like by saying sometimes the online system is not too as in customers don't get what they want as compared to the traditional method where you can see everything tailored to your taste. But sometimes people kind of are deceptive with the online method. Like you can see something, but it's not actually what you want.
Okay, Lauren, what sellers have you been buying from? Because I believe that is what is influencing your answers right now. That is why I keep saying, that's why I said before I talked about the 5S model that the e-marketing has to be done with. Are you there, Lauren?
Okay, yes.
Good. E-marketing has to be done right. So when it is not done right, it's where we have the poor execution, the poor strategy. So poor strategy here is where you have a website that does not show all the products. And very soon we will look at a classic example of a website that does the 5S model to near perfection. So it will help you understand the excellent way of applying the 5S model to e-marketing. That will make things clearer to you. But when we have poor execution, poor strategy is an example of what you are saying, where you can't see all the products at a glance. You can't see the products from the different angles to be able to appreciate how it will look and feel, right? Poor execution is where you show the customer one product, and then in delivering, you deliver something else, which is of a substandard quality, right? Which again violates the rules of ethical marketing. So Lauren's question takes me back to what I said before we discussed the 5S model in the first place. The e-marketing has to be done right, because poor e-marketing will lead to poor outcomes. So very soon we will look at a classic example of the 5S model being done right by a firm that has decided to market their products solely online. And this is a fashion brand. I don't know how many of you have heard of ASOS, but we'll be looking at ASOS's online platform. Has anyone heard of ASOS?
Yes, please.
Good. Has anyone bought from ASOS?
Yes, please.
Who has?
I have.
Kevin, you have?
Yes, please.
Okay. Then you will help us during this discussion a lot then. Foster, your hand is still up. Oh yeah, okay. So Darius can come in and then we can go to ASOS. Okay, Darius, come in.
Okay. So I wanted to touch a little bit on save model and
yeah,
kind of like also address a little bit of what colleagues were talking about concerning the save model.
Yeah, go ahead.
With the save model, there is something that I think wasn't touched on. That is the virtual offices that complements websites and also bridges the gap between a traditional like brick and mortar office and then an online presence, in the sense that you could have an office space that would have the address and the location and telephone services, email services, mail services for the particular company, but then the company doesn't have to have physical presence in there. So it's more or less like a receptive point to be able to contact the company if you want to contact them. That is a very great way to save money if you are a startup.
Yeah.
Also, when it comes to the web or the online services, I do not think that it being a little bit more expensive is actually true, because you can actually find competitive tendering when it comes to the website design, and obviously what you want to your website to be able to do in terms of the plugins will determine how costly your website is going to be. Exactly. Right now they have pretty much self-service platforms that if you don't have any coding experience, you can actually just like exactly like Wix and Weebly, you could actually build your own website from scratch. And yeah, and you can actually spend about $50. That's less than 300 CDs.
That's true.
On that. So also when it comes to hosting, now they are offering subscription services, so you don't even have to pay at one time. You can spread your payment over, let's say 12 months or 24 months, whatever you're going to go for, and you'll be able to maybe make $10 or maybe $20 a month for the payment. So if you juxtapose that to the traditional office setting, you're going to make a great save when it comes to that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Darius, for throwing light on that. You see, so this is why you people have to be reading and informing yourselves. Because if you do not inform yourself, there's no way you will know about all these opportunities that exist. As marketers, I always tell my students that it is not enough for you to be the marketer who brings the people together to get the job done. You need to be able to know what you're looking for and the options that are available to you. So like if you go and hire a web developer and he comes and he's telling you all these outrageous stories and asking you for all these huge sums of money, you know the options that are available. And you say, okay, I'm kicking you to the care. I'm going to develop my own website, right? The graduate students, I teach the graduate students how to build their own websites and platforms using WordPress and Wix, right? But for the undergrad level, it is too much of heavy content for some of you. You don't have a background in some form of IT. You do not necessarily need to be a coding expert, like Darius was saying. You can be able to do it. But we mainly focus on teaching that at a graduate level. But that doesn't stop you from learning it on your own. Right? So thank you, Darius, for that exposition to your colleagues. So please, get yourselves informed. Read a lot, because we can't come and teach you everything in class. Abdallah, come in.
Okay, so yes, I just want to add more to what Darius said.
Go ahead.
Earlier on. in relation to the websites and website conversation over the years, I think even right now in the 21st century, the patronage of websites is reducing. The attention is going more on social media right now, which is basically free subscription, free creation of account and all that. So even if you are still afraid of the website cost and all that, you can just go by the social media presence, which are free accounts to be created, and businesses are moving very well on it.
Exactly. Thank you, Abdul.
Yeah.
I might add, a lot of the SMEs are using the social media approach. So we have a lot of Instagram-based businesses, a lot of Facebook-based businesses. So thank you, Abdullah, for adding that. Right? So please, my dear marketers, please keep yourselves informed. Stay abreast of current affairs and trends in your area. Because we can only teach you so much. That's why all these discussions are very important. As part of our course policies, remember I talked about the fact that participation in class discussions is very important. This is why. So thank you, Abdullah and Darius, very insightful, right? So let's quickly go to the ASOS website and then do a little demonstration, and then we can be on our way. Can you see the screen?
Yes, please.
Yes, madam. Okay. And Emmanuel Mensah
Yes,
is
please.
asking,
Yes, please.
okay,
Yes,
Emmanuel
please.
Mensah is asking, can I throw more light on the brick and clay? Okay, I didn't say brick and clay. It's bricks and clicks. Click as in C-L-I-C-K. Bricks and clicks is where the firm decides to use a blended approach. So they have a physical presence, which is the brick, and then an online presence, which is the click. So that's where we come up with the term bricks and clicks.
Click.
Then, good. Then the brick and mortar is where they are doing their business solely offline, no online presence. That's why we call it brick and mortar. And then the online presence solely is what we call the clicks. So they're basically using a clicks approach. So I hope you understand now, Emmanuel.
Yes, please. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so let's look at the ASOS website. For gender equity, I believe we should do a male demonstration and a female demonstration. So let's start with the female demonstration. We are going to look at how the sizzle works, right? So looking at the ASOS website, I'll do the first one, being the cell dimension. ASOS has millions of listings of clothing, shoes, everything that has to do with fashion, accessories, bags, activewear, makeup, all stuff in one place. And this website is available to people from different geographic locations. So you will notice when you go to the bottom of the page that there is a tab that says shopping from. Please, can we see it?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, please.
So depending on your
Yes,
location,
please.
you can select where you're shopping from, and they'll show you the currency that you can buy your item in, and then the payment options that you have. So here by default, it says I'm shopping from Ghana, right? And it shows that I have the options of paying by Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, American Express, and then another form of Visa, which I cannot really see clearly. So when you click the down arrow, you can see that there are many options. And these are all the countries that you can buy from that they will ship to, right? All the way from Afghanistan down to Zimbabwe, right? So when you get the chance, you can go to the site and scroll through and see all the different countries. But currently we are in Ghana, so by default, it's showing us Ghana. And they have two currencies that you can buy in, either the British pound or the US dollar. So I'm going to stick with the British pound for now. Okay. So that is it for sale. So the selling dimension that we discussed is being demonstrated here primarily by showing that they can sell so many products to so many people in different parts of the world, and they can deliver to all these people and make sure that these people are happy, right? At the same time, making their money and their profits. Now, even in terms of the selling, they can be able to give extra services in addition to the selling, which brings us to the second dimension of the 5S model, which is the serve dimension, right? So I'm going to pick one person to tell us how the serve dimension is being demonstrated on the ASOS website as we are seeing it. So can I have Abina Duku Brew. That is, yes. Abina Duku Brew. Are you there? Abina Duku Brew. Are you there? Abina, one last time. If you don't respond, I take it you are not in class. Abina Duku Brew. You can't see. How can't you see? Please, can everyone else see the website?
Yes.
Yes, please.
So Abina,
Yes.
how can't you see? This is odd. This is odd. Abina, you need to check the device you are connecting from. Okay. So Ato Aban, if you are there, tell us, how is the self-dimension being demonstrated on the ASOS website?
Yes, madam.
Okay, so tell us, on the ASOS website.
Madam, please, there are gift vouchers.
There are what?
There are gift vouchers.
Gift vouchers as part of the self-dimension.
Yes, madam.
I think you need to have a Ato Aban,
Yes, madam.
were you in the discussion with us?
Yes, madam.
Okay, so come again. Self-dimension. Give us a self-dimension element on the website. Your friends mentioned some during the discussions. I'm just expecting you to pick them off the page. Self-dimension.
Madam,
Yeah.
please, corporate responsibility.
Are you serious? Self-dimension. Corporate responsibility is not an element of the self-dimension. It's an element of the CISO dimension. Because it's a proposition that creates an experience. Customers would always want to be associated with a brand that is corporately responsible or exhibits corporate social responsibility. So, you're off the mark again. Ato Aban, were you paying attention?
Yes, madam, please, with the self, I wasn't.
You were not paying attention.
Yes, madam.
Okay, well noted. But you said, yes, with Cell Dimension, they posted a picture of their product online. Yes, I explained the Cell Dimension. So we've moved on the Cell Dimension, but thank you, Vida Prima, for bringing that to the fore. So we've moved away from the Cell Dimension. Now we're on the Self Dimension. So Ato Aban said he was not paying attention during the Self Dimension. So we are going to Anita Sapua. Anita Sapua, Self Dimension. How is it being exhibited?
The self-dimension. Track orders.
Track orders, good. So after the sale, the customer can track the order and see where it has gotten to, whether it's getting closer to them or it's moving further away. Right? So good. Who was that? Was it Abna Sapua, right?
Anita Safwa.
Anita Sapua, good. Good. Yes, thank you. Okay, so that's for the third dimension. Who else can tell us something about the third dimension? Let me see. Benedict.
Yes, madam.
Yeah, what other element of the third dimension can you pick out of this?
So we have delivery and returns.
Good. So that means that after you buy the product, if you didn't like it or it didn't fit or there was something wrong with it and you want to bring it back, you're free to do so with the delivery and return option. So let's do one more. Third dimension. Bashiru. Bashiru. Third dimension. Bashiru, if I mention your name one more time and you do not respond, I take it you were not in class. Bashiru. Okay, so Bashiru is not in class. Loretta, Bashiru is absent. Okay. Lawrence Bwampong. Lawrence Bwampong. Okay, so Gabriel Japa says, Serve Dimension, they have provided convenient payments method like Visa cards. Good, Gabriel. That's a good observation. Thank you, Gabriel, for contributing to the discussion. They're taking on feedback from customers. Where is the feedback tab, Madel? Where is the feedback tab? My hand is still up. Is it from the old one or you have something to say?
It's from the old one.
Oh, okay. All right. But if you can come in.
Okay, so Madam, I wanted to say your microphone was going on and off, but I think it's okay now.
It's okay now. All right. Okay. All right. So Lauren says building brand presence through advertisement. Okay. Yes. So they're advertising the different options that they have, right? So that helps with the pre-sale aspect. So thank you, Lauren, for that. And then Felix Koza says help button where you may be connected to a customer service rep. Good. That's another good observation. So the help button is a good one. And you can either require help during the sale or after the sale, right? Perhaps during the sale, the payment is not going through, or you're having struggle, you are struggling to add things to your cart or something else. You can click the help button to see if you can obtain assistance. So that's it for the serve dimension. So thank you to all those who contributed. Let's move on to the next dimension. Okay, Tina says with the serve dimension, they have beautiful pictures of products that will attract the customers to buy. Okay, Tina, that's a good observation. Thank you for contributing. So let's move on. From the serve dimension, we have the what? What's the next dimension?
The speak.
Speak, good. So how are they speaking? How are they communicating?
Madam, with their social media handles, you can contact them.
Okay, so who is speaking? It's Michael, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Michael, they are speaking through their social media handles. Very good observation. So they have Facebook, Instagram, and then Snapchat. So that's a good one, Michael. Good.
Thank you.
All right. So another dimension of speak. Another dimension.
Madam, they also talk about more from us.
Who is speaking?
Patience.
Patience, you didn't raise your hand. Patience, you didn't raise your hand. Okay, you are forgiven for now. Speak. But after that, hands that are raised.
Okay. Madam, they also talked about more from ASOS. So they are talking about mobiles and ASOS apps and then ASOS marketplaces and all that.
Okay, so they are communicating by telling you all other things that they have to offer. Good. Okay, Priscilla, come in.
The help and information button also communicates to their customers.
That's true. The way of communicating. Pre-sale, post-sale, and after-sale. Pre-sale, post-sale, and during the sale. So during the sale, they're communicating with you by asking if you need help. Post-sale, they're communicating with you still by tracking your order, so you can ask them where your order is and they can tell you. Delivery and return, you can communicate with them on how to get your order delivered or returned. So that's a good one, Prinsella. What's the name? That's with an S, doesn't it? Can't see it clearly. Okay, the hand is down. Who is this? Whose name is next? Bakiru, you're back. Okay, Cassandra, come in. Cassandra.
Hello, madam.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, please, with the speak dimension about us, it helps them to communicate to their customers too. That will be under pre-sale.
Okay. Okay. So about us, good. They are speaking to them. The pre-sale speaking to is about establishing some form of familiarity with regards to the about us. So here they're trying to let you know more about the brand and how they go about their dealings, to give you a better appreciation of what they stand for, to help you along in your decision as to whether or not to buy from the brand. So that's good, Cassandra. Lauren, okay, so Nadel says, can we include shopping from option? Because it gives the chance to select the country where you're buying from. Is that communicating? Is it under the speak dimension, Nadel? Are you saying in relation to the speak dimension? Nadel, are you there? Okay, yes. So they're communicating with you in terms of wanting to know your location. So thank you, Nadel, for that one. Lauren says also customers can reach them through their social media platform. Exactly, that's another form of speaking. So good. Salati Maxwell adds his voice to the about us as an element of the speak dimension as well. Okay. And Gabriel Japa says they communicate to their customers through their mobile and ASOS app. That's another element of the speak dimension. So thank you, Gabriel. Godson says with the speak, you can also reach them using mobile and ASOS. So he's just corroborating what Gabriel just said. All right. So that is it for the speak dimension, right? Then we have the save dimension. So how does the firm save in this instance? How does the ASOS their savings? Okay, so as Maxwell says, the website also communicates about how payments could be made. It's also another form of communication. Yes. So by displaying all the payment options, they are communicating with customers with regard to how they can pay for the items that they purchase. So thank you, Selassie Maxwell, for that. Benedict, come in. So we are currently on which dimension? We've done sell, we've done sell, we've done speak. So we are on the sales dimension.
Yes, please.
Okay. Benedict, come in.
Okay, so before I talk about the same dimension, I wanted to say something about the speak. I saw easy delivery worldwide. So yeah. I think they're also speaking to us.
Yes.
Okay. So the same dimension, you have, okay.
Okay, so with regards to the delivery dimension, the easy delivery worldwide that they are talking about, when you go to that tab, they tell you about the delivery options.
Okay.
Right, so they have two main delivery options. They have the standard delivery and the express delivery. The standard delivery comes via post and can take up to 1 month. And then the express delivery, you can get your item in as short as 4 days.
Okay.
So please, do you see it here?
Yes, please.
So the standard delivery costs £8. You can even get your item delivered for free if you spend over £55. Then the express delivery costs £38. You can get it within a very short period of time.
Okay. Thank you, madam. So the same dimension, we have 50% off chilled out looks.
Okay, that's it for savings on the part of the customer, right?
Yes, please.
Good. And also from the discussions that we have had in class, we know that the firm is saving a lot. All the stuff that we had in relation to cost reduction when it comes to building of the website and hosting the website and stocking all these items and doing deliveries online and doing all these back-end office stuff all embedded into the online presence. The firm is saving huge amount of money over time, right? Julia, you can come in.
And madam, the saving aspect too, you can say ASOS doesn't need to open branches in all the countries they operate in or they serve.
Good.
They can be at one location and still provide to all. So they are saving on rental space in other countries and also time. And employees though employ in case they opened in other countries or branches.
Good, good. Okay, so HR students have a class now. Can they leave? Yes, HR students, you may leave. Okay. So thank you, Julia, for that submission. So let me read a few other comments that we can go ahead and wrap up. So I see. Let me start from here. Okay, so ASOS is a UK brand. Yes, it's a UK brand. But like Julia just mentioned, even though they are a UK brand, you can sell to customers in all countries, all over the world, without having to have a physical presence in all these countries. So thank you, Vanya, for that submission. One Lawrence says, which is traditional and costly, since a lot of billboards have to be mounted at different areas. I don't understand the context of this conversation, but perhaps we have to clarify later on. And I says, understand that you don't necessarily have to have your branches all over the world. So that confirms what Julia just said. And one comes back with advertisement is done online through their various social media platforms. Okay, so I get to get the gist of what he is trying to say. The web service they are operating, they are not constrained by time. Exactly, they can open 24/7. So thank you, Gabriel, for that. So instead of you incurring costs from transportation, you buy it to Ghana. Okay, so that's a good observation. All right, so let's talk about the final dimension and then we can go up. So the final dimension has to do with the sizzle dimension. And this one needs no introduction. When you get the chance, go to the website and familiarize yourself with how the website works. We have put in place so many pegs and tweaks into the website that make your entire brand experience a phenomenal one. We do not have time, our time is up. I would have gone through attempting to browse the site with you, but I believe you can do this on your own. Just go to the site and try browsing through the women's apparel, the men's apparel and accessories and stuff. You can see all the little pegs that they have done to enhance brand experience, including putting pictures of the products at different angles. Previously, they had videos of people wearing the product and using them for you to see how the product will move, assuming you were the one wearing it. All of these things were meant to enhance brand experience. But I think now they have taken down the videos. But the pictures of the products from all the different angles are still there. They also give you options to be able to get your correct size using the size guide that they have provided on the site. You can give them recommendations based on brands you have bought in the past, and you can use that to design to help you figure out the actual size that will fit you. So when you get the chance after this class, go to the ASOS site and familiarize yourself with it, and I'm sure you will get the sense of the sizzle experience that I am talking about. So before we sign off, Cassandra, your hand is up. Let's hear from you finally before we go. And then as well as Abdullah. Abdullah's hand is also up. So Cassandra and Abdullah, you can speak and then we will call it a day. So Cassandra, you go first.
Yeah, Madam, please, in relation to the delivery,
yeah,
Then Edita did mention of speak under the 5S dimension, but why wouldn't it fall under the same
Which one?
dimension? Delivery.
It can fall under both. So under the serve dimension, we can talk about the delivery and returns options in the sense that they are giving you options that you can have in terms of delivery and returns after you have made your purchase, and they are communicating that to you. So that one is the service that they offer.
Yes, please. And another speak to. Is it that because they are
another speak is where they are actually communicating to you the options you have in terms of delivery and return. Does it make sense?
Oh, yes, please.
So under the speak, they are telling you about the service, and then under the serve, they are actually offering the service to you.
Oh, yes, please.
Because they can offer the service, but if they don't tell you about it, you will not know.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Yes, please. It makes
Good.
sense.
Okay. So that's it. Abdullah, you're the last one, and then we can call it a day.
Yeah. So my observation was that when we're discussing the benefits, the various benefit dimensions, the explanation was moving from the point of from the business point of view, like not relating to the customer per se. But towards the end of the lecture, I realized that we're discussing in dimension. I wanted to ask the question, but then towards the end, we moved the discussion towards some benefits to the customers.
Remember,
so I want to know if
each of the model, I mentioned, I don't know who heard me, that these benefits can accrue on both sides.
Okay.
Both the
so if
side
you are
and customer side.
Okay, so for examination's sake, if we are given the question to explain one of those dimensions and we pick it from the consumer side or from the business side or from both sides combined together, which one would be ideal?
So if you were the lecturer and you have mentioned that the benefits can come on both sides, and then in the beginning we were discussing, good, and in the beginning we were discussing the firm side more, right? Then when we came to the practical side of the website, we discussed more of the customer side more. Technically, we have discussed both sides, true or false?
True.
Good. So if you were the lecturer, which one would you grade higher?
Yeah. I'll request for both.
Exactly, because that student shows that they have appreciated the discussion, the explanation I gave regarding both sides of the thing. But we have discussed both sides, true or false?
True.
Discuss both sides, true or false?
True, ma.
Yeah. So definitely the person who is able to talk about both sides shows that they were paying full attention in class.
Yes, but through the discussion, it was more intensified on the business side. That's why I pushed the question forward.
And by getting to the end, we were discussing consumer side as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
How the consumer benefits from tracking orders, how the consumer benefits from payment options. In fact, we discussed it throughout. Even though we're talking about the firm, we also discussed consumer side. We just didn't say that we are discussing consumer side.
Yeah.
So that's when we talked about all the options and stuff over there, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, even under communication, we talked about the fact that sometimes the firm just keeps quiet.
Thank you, ma'am.
Consumers talking to each other, didn't we? After that, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We did.
Okay. So are we good now?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. So in the absence of any discussion, we bring our lecture to a close. God willing, we will meet on Friday for our second session.
Okay, thank you very much, madam.
You're welcome, Benedicta, and thank you. You guys were very engaging. In fact, I really enjoyed my class with you.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah, I did.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, take care. Okay.
Bye.
Please, we have marketing management at 10, so.
Where's the link?